Very good, thank you. Chief, whenever you're ready.
Okay, just waiting for the PowerPoint to come up.
All right, when the PowerPoint's ready.
It's all about the electronics right now.
It's an 11-year-old system.
Chief, where's your hat?
Is it 11 years already?
I checked with my protocol guy. I don't wear it inside unless I'm on a funeral detail. How's that?
Looking good, though.
Good answer.
Mark, back me up on that one, all right? All right.
Say yes, chief.
Wow. Probably the only good answer I'm going to give you tonight. Isn't it? Okay, I see it's up there. Well, I want to offer my appreciation to the council for having me here tonight. We've been looking forward to this for quite some time, and a lot of hard work's gone into tonight's presentation. So with that said, we'll go to slide 2 here and talk a little bit about history of the fire department. We were chartered, excuse me, in March of 1927, and we're currently in our 87th year of operation. The charter was signed by 67 men who built the original firehouse, which is still standing on Church Street, and the original charter is always on display there. The building is the site of our museum and houses a 1940 Maxim pumper, which was the third piece of apparatus the town bought. Ready for this? $6,700. Multiply that by 100 plus nowadays. We also have the second engine that the town bought, and that is a Model A Ford, which is housed at Station 2. It's a 1929 Model A Ford, housed at Station 2, and it has been completely restored. And there's our mission statement. And very important for me right there is that we are doing everything with professionalism, integrity, and dignity. That's going to be one of my common themes tonight. Before I go into how we do things, or why we do things, I want to talk about how we do things and the basic operating principles of the department. The department uses a paramilitary style of leadership, which is typical of all fire departments. And firefighters operate under a rank system, which establishes a chain of command with the fire chief as the head of the department. And we try to keep things simple. We use 4 basic management principles: chain of command, span of control, division of labor, and discipline. Did that change?
Yep.
All right. The chain of command, and we use that through our incident command system, allows each firefighter to answer to only one supervisor, and one supervisor to one boss above him, and so on. And in this way, everyone's accountable to a chief officer, and this establishes a direct route of responsibility from my office to the firefighter. On the fire ground, all functions are assigned according to the needs of the incident. A firefighter receiving direction from only one source will not become overwhelmed and therefore perform safely, efficiently, and effectively. And that's going to be another theme tonight: safely, efficiently, and effectively. The chain of command stops with the town manager, who I am accountable to. There we go. Span of control, that's the number of people that one person can effectively supervise. And depending on task assignment, the span of control is usually 4 to 7 firefighters, with 5 as the ideal number of subordinates. Coincidentally, our fire apparatus carries 1 supervisor and 5 firefighters. When we talk about the division of labor, this is our way of organizing the overall strategy into smaller tasks or tactics. We functionally divide incident responsibilities to crews based on apparatus functions and the incident needs. By doing so, this increases our effectiveness and prevents duplication of job assignments. You can see how the span of control and division of labor kind of go hand in hand. Lastly is discipline. And I mean this not in a corrective sense of the word, but in the most positive sense. Having the esprit de corps and the self-control to follow the established guidelines, to work as a member of a team, And that allows us, again, to operate safely and effectively. Now, there's our department administration. The department is staffed entirely by volunteers, and we have a residency requirement. The group of guys up here, with their job functions, have a total time of service to the town of over 140 years. And that's something we're very proud of. And that's pretty incredible. And to support this group, we have a public information officer, a chief's aide, a chaplain, and an office manager. We currently operate from 3 fire stations. And I say currently, there's no plans to add a 4th. So Station 1 is located right behind us at 739 Old Main Street. Station 2 is at 52 New Britain Avenue. And Station 3, which is headquarters, is at 3050 Main Street. And from these stations, we operate 4 engines, including 2 rescue pumpers, 3 ladder trucks, and a heavy rescue truck. Additionally, we have several auxiliary pieces of apparatus, including a hose wagon, a light rescue, 26-foot rescue boat, smaller Zodiac boat, and 7 fire police vehicles. Now, the stations, I've listed out the stations and the apparatus assigned and the amount of personnel in each station there. Company 1 has the heaviest complement of men, and we assign firefighters to stations based on where they live. It would be crazy for us to have somebody from New Britain Avenue driving down here to Old Main Street. Station 2, New Britain Avenue, we have Engine 3, Attack 1, which we have repurposed as a hose wagon. Truck 2, and we have our training engine or our spare engine. And Station 3, we have Engine 1, Rescue 2, and Truck 3, as well as several support trailers. And there's the manpower allotment there. The fire police are in Stations 1 and 3. And you can see their responsibilities and their current staffing. Now, just to give you a little background in terms of function, I offer the following explanations. Fire engine is just that. Its crew is responsible for securing a water source, deploying hand lines, conducting search and rescues while extinguishing a fire, putting water on the fire. Firefighting 101, get water on the fire. And that's what fire engines do. And that's what their crews do. Carry a ton of hose on them, a booster tank with about 500 gallons of water, very limited supply of ladders and hand tools. And that's our Engine 4, which is a 1989 or 90, Rick? 89 Pierce Arrow. Ladder trucks, a little more specialized. Its crews do forcible entry, roof and ventilation operations, search and rescue, and deployment of ground ladders. Ladder trucks carry a wide assortment of ground ladders, approximately 230 linear feet worth. Excuse me, and an extensive supply of tools. Each truck has an aerial ladder ranging from 95 to 105 feet, and these aerials can be raised or positioned to or above a roof to provide a stable working platform. And that's Truck 2 out of Station 2. And lastly, our rescue trucks. The rescue truck and its crew are responsible for all types of rescues, including motor vehicle accidents, trench, confined rescues, confined space rescues, high-angle rescues, and they carry an extensive selection of regular and specialized tools. Find the jaws of life on there. And I'm going to come around here. Each year, the town manager asks me to put in our staffing changes. And you can see from January 1st, 2013 to January 1st, 2014, we did increase our membership. And shows it a little bit better there with an increase in each station, and we've increased the online staff from 47 to 54, and with my rudimentary fire department math, I believe that's about 15%. 5 of these guys came back, 4 came back as re-enlistments, past members who came back in fully trained. And we've actually just got another application from a past member, so that makes it all the more easier to get when these guys come back in trained. Just get them right back on the line. I want to talk about personnel. That's a good segue into personnel. And that's our most valuable asset, our manpower. And it takes a special breed to become and stay a member. And, you know, you just got to think about the backbone it takes just to walk through the door. It can be pretty intimidating. And even before you begin your initial training, there's a very thorough physical exam, EKG, hearing test, lung capacity test, and lastly, a blood test to set a baseline for the many different toxins we have the potential to be exposed to. By the way, we do provide follow-up depending on the age of the firefighter, up to the Senior Citizens Club, which I am in, where you get yearly physicals. The initial training commitment is huge, with at least 300 hours in the first year to be awarded the basic certification. The state of Connecticut has no minimum firefighter certifications. They leave that up to the individual towns or the individual departments. We have a long-established policy that members will be certified as Firefighter 1, hazardous material operations, as well as basic first aid. Additionally, for the past several years, we've been training our personnel to Firefighter Level 2. We conduct weekly training for all our members and have established minimums that require all our members to make at least 50% of the drills and 100% of our core required training. On top of that, we stipulate they answer a minimum of 23% of the calls that their station is assigned to. Last year, we answered 614 calls. With that volume, it does create quite a workload for our volunteers. Let's see. We need to find a way to keep the volunteers volunteering. And that's where retention comes into place. And I believe that the day of the stereotypical volunteer is behind us. That guy, you know, on the Norman Rockwell painting, running to the firehouse from the barber's chair. That's behind us. And as the demands of the fire service change, we're going to continue to ask more of our volunteers, and we do this in the name of safety. Now, fires aren't what they were 30 years ago. They burn hotter and quicker now. Interiors are more chemical-based, making fires a lot more dangerous. Smoke contains more toxins than ever. That's why we create baselines. Monoxides, dioxides, sulfides, cyanides. If it ends in IDE, if you're overexposed, you're going to die. IDE equals DIE. That's a quick little hazmat lesson there. The other thing working against us is the current trend in building construction. Lightweight truss construction cuts down on our working time. Laminated beams that are going into new housing cuts down on our working time. It's not like the old stick-built construction. And our goal is that we operate in the safest manner possible at every incident. And let's face it, fires in Rocky Hill can be just as deadly as anywhere else. And our department over the years has experienced 2 line-of-duty deaths. And I can tell you firsthand that a line-of-duty death is devastating on all levels, to the town, to the family, you name it. We're going to do everything possible to make sure everybody goes home after the call. And as the needs of the town changes, the burden we place on our personnel grows, and that's where retention comes into place. There's a couple aspects to a good retention program, and one is the social aspect, and we have several functions for the guys each year, including our awards night, which we invite you folks to, and these simple gestures go a long way to keeping the guys. Another aspect is, for lack of a better term, is the give back. And the town graciously provides a supplemental life insurance policy, a $1,000 yearly tax abatement, and even better, if you retire after 2007, after 55 years of age, and after 25 years of service, then that's a permanent benefit. We provide a pay-per-call program. Leadership personnel also receive a yearly stipend depending on rank. And very important, a fixed pension program that you can max out after 20 years and you can collect at age 62. Very important. Now, everything I went through really doesn't matter unless we can answer the call, because that's what we're here to do. That building right there is a factory off Belamos Avenue, and that's what we woke up to one morning. We respond to a myriad of calls and find that no two are the same. As such, we need to be proficient in all the dynamics of many types of incidents. And we find that our calls begin when the caller runs out of options. We find that we're the last resort for a lot of people. Depending on the type of incident, we'll typically send 3 pieces of fire apparatus with about 18 guys and several staff and support personnel. I previously mentioned we had 614 calls last year, and an average of about 18 firefighters per call, did about 11,000 individual responses last year. When we're at incidents, we stress safety. Life safety of the civilians, firefighter safety. Last year nationwide, there were about 100 firefighter deaths and over 40,000 injuries. And we believe in the risk-benefit model. The greater the benefit, the greater the risk we'll take. And just like the Marine Corps, where everybody's a rifleman, every one of our line personnel from me on down still maintains their interior attack firefighting certifications. Customer service, I want to talk about that for a second here. We stress that we're going to treat each call as if it's in our home, our own homes. We're treating everybody with respect, patience, and dignity. And in our books, good enough is never good enough. I was talking about this with one of our lieutenants recently, and he was on a call, and it wasn't an overly significant call, but to the lady, to the homeowner, it's a couple inches of water in the basement. And to the homeowner, it was like her world was ending. She had lived in the same house for 60 years. This has never happened to her before. It's interrupting her. She didn't know who else to call. We went over there with 6 guys. We took care of it. And you couldn't express how grateful she was. And that's what we're looking for with customer service. We challenge our officers to create a solution that's quick, effective, skillful, and managed. And on-stage performance, this is one of my favorites. I honestly believe the department has a real unique opportunity, and that is at every call, every time we leave the firehouse, every training session, parade, you name it, we have the opportunity to create public perception. And we're going to take full advantage of that. Now, for us to be at our best, the department's broken down into several divisions, each with a chief officer serving as its manager. I want to talk about training here, and that picture is taken at the training ground behind Station 2. I can't stress enough how important training really is. And I personally believe our training program is second to none. Now, when we respond to a call, there's an expected level of service that the customer is entitled to. That level of service, that level of expertise comes to us both internally and externally, meaning from the public, but also from ourselves. And the only way to achieve this is to train and to train hard. And truthfully, we're our own toughest critics. For me personally, and I know this is going to sound corny, but I must respond to the same call half a dozen or a dozen times, once for real, and then just replaying it in my head afterwards to see what we could do better, see what we could have done differently, and just trying to do a little QA on it. In regards to training, though, the harder we train, the more competent we become. Again, the more competent we become, the safer we are. As stated earlier, Connecticut doesn't mandate firefighter certifications, but they leave it up to the individual departments. Many years ago, Chief Jim Vincetti, one of my personal heroes, made the educated decision to require that all Rocky Hill Fire Department personnel are trained to firefighter level 1. And Joe, not to take away from you, I believe you were part of that decision too. Okay. This certification provides all the skills for the candidate to work under supervision. I want to talk a little bit about initial training. You know, back to what we were talking about earlier, when the recruit comes in the door, it's a little intimidating. Aside from that culture shock that the new member gets, he can expect a very busy 24 months. Firefighter 1 and 2 certifications, hazardous material operations level certification, and that gives you the capability to perform defensive measures against hazardous material incidents. First aid, CPR, and AED certification, a Class 2Q driver's license, 4 NIM certification, and that's the National Incident Management System put on by FEMA, as well as 2 years of in-house training. It's a big hill to climb there. Now, continuing education, we conduct weekly training sessions based on a yearly master training schedule. The schedule is developed using OSHA requirements and our own needs assessment. We also have core training requirements, and you can see some of them up there. Under the OSHA General Duty Clause, they stipulate that an employee must be proficient in any task they may be called upon to perform. We don't know what that next task is. So our training program tries to be all-inclusive, try to cover all the bases. And we have competency-based training categories that include vehicle extrication, live fire training, standpipe operations, water supply, ladders, search rescue, fireground safety and survival, and that's our safety and survival on the fireground, salvage, overhaul, and a whole bunch more. And when we conduct these weekly hands-on training sessions, firefighters must demonstrate their competency with their skill sets. We also recertify our drivers and operators on an annual basis. And one of our challenges is keeping up with the ever-changing technology. And whether it's new construction, and again, the use of lightweight wood truss, land beams, or hybrid vehicles where powered by batteries, propane is becoming quite frequent nowadays. So we need to stay on top of these changes. Now, the training ground. As most of you know, we have a department training ground located behind Station 2 on New Britain Avenue. And we conduct most of our cognitive training there. On site, we have a 2,500 square foot burn building, a flashover trailer, safety, survival, rescue areas, confined space training, trench rescue, vehicle extrication. On top of the flashover prop, we have a rooftop ventilation prop, and we have a hydrant training area. Working closely with the PD, we maintain our own communication system. These include pagers, two-way radios, both mobile and portable, two-way repeaters, transmitters, receivers, cell phones, and our rip and run receivers in each firehouse. What the rip and run is when a call comes out, a sheet indicating the call, any hazards at the site, what the call is, location, nearest hydrant, and any data up to and including whether it's whether there's a homebound person in that building is sent to each firehouse. So the officer goes over there, takes it with him, and now they've got a heads up on the call, going to the call. Okay. In communications is also the development and maintenance of our dispatch policy. Our communications people liaison with the police department for quality assurance and proper apparatus dispatch. And this is especially challenging as, again, technology changes so quickly. Now, for apparatus and station maintenance, we have 2 full-time employees, 1 mechanic and 1 mechanic custodian, and they're tasked with maintaining all the firefighting equipment that we have. And this goes well beyond vehicle maintenance. They also maintain our self-contained breathing apparatus, hydraulic rescue tools, generators, ropes, personal protective equipment, fire hose, ladders, pumps, both portable and fixed, and all the tools and equipment. These guys are more than mechanics. They're the total package that allows us to maintain our functional readiness at all times. Kind of low-profile, boots-on-the-ground guys that keep us going. The majority of the work is performed in the back bays of Station 3, where we have a mechanic shop set up. And in regards to station maintenance, we do most minor repairs, some selective painting, and all general cleaning. Each station is also equipped with a Plimo vent system to remove engine exhaust from the work area. And the fire marshal's office. We have a full-time fire marshal, Rich Renstrom, assisted by a part-time deputy fire marshal, Frank Kelly. His office is responsible for code enforcement and incident investigation. And unlike many departments, Fire Marshal Renstrom has line authority within our department. His duties include the enforcement of state laws and local ordinance related to fire prevention and fire protection. He cooperates and coordinates with other state agencies in the administration of the fire code. Plan review and specifications for new construction, remodeling, alterations, and additions for compliance with the Connecticut Fire Code. And he'll conduct or participate in investigation of cause and origins and circumstances of fires, including cases of possible arson. He also participates and maintains our department's NFIRS program, and NFIRS stands for National Fire Incident Reporting System. So we report everything that goes on a national level. This slide outlines some of the educational services which are offered, the preschool station tours, the elementary school fire prevention. Rich, off the top of your head, how many kids last year? Close to 900 kids last year. His office ran through the fire prevention course. The middle school life skills course, and just so forth. And we even get into the elderly and the senior fire prevention. Okay. ISO, the Insurance Services Office. It's an organization funded by the insurance industry to calculate the community's ability to tackle a fire. And it's not just looking at the fire department. They look at everything, including water supply. So they'll spend, when they come look at us, they'll spend time with the MDC and go through all their calculations for flows. They look at water supply again, communications, receiving and dispatching, engine and ladder truck spacing, training and training facilities, pre-planning, response procedures, frontline and spare hose. Currently, we're at a number 3. And as you can see, we're well at the top of the slide. 6 departments ahead of us in the state, and if I had to guess, they were career departments. I'd like to talk for a second about additional assistance at larger incidents. And we've got 2 ways of requesting help. And we can call for help at a larger incident. We can call for help at an incident that's very time-consuming. First, we can request apparatus and crews from our neighbors, and this is referred to as mutual aid. Typically, we will use Cromwell or Weathersfield. Second, we can request a task force response. Now, the task force concept began here in Rocky Hill in late 2001. And the task force was conceptualized and created, and I got to give him credit, by Chief Kohanek here. And it was all started to put together after 9/11 and after a large fire in the Glenbrook townhouses in November of 2001. one call gets a response from 4 towns with a predetermined asset allotment. And the participating towns for Task Force 51, which is the one I'm talking about, are Berlin, Newington, Weathersfield, and Cromwell. 2 engines, a truck, and a rescue, each with 6 firefighters and a chief officer, is what we get. This provides a great deal of assistance without stripping our neighbors, and vice versa. When we go out of town, we're able to provide a great deal of assistance without stripping our town. Now, the Task Force 51 model is now being used throughout the state. Firefighters Association. Back around 1981-82, we started a Firefighters Association, and this was in an effort to make it easier for firefighters to volunteer. We wanted to be able to provide a mechanism to give assistance to a member who has fallen on hard times. And when we started doing that, we started helping our own. We soon realized that, you know what, we also need to help out the town. And we provide 3 scholarships for graduating town seniors: the Captain Thomas Garrahy Scholarship, the Chief Harry Kelly Scholarship, and the Firefighter Ed Riccio Scholarship. And we also sponsor a Boy Scout troop, a youth soccer team, and a youth baseball team. The Fire Museum. About 13 years ago, the original firehouse, located on Church Street right behind us, was slated to be demolished as part of the Town Hall renovation project. I got to give credit where credit is due, and the building was saved largely through Chief Kohanek's efforts, and that was no small task. With the building saved, the fire department felt that we needed to do something community-based, and the idea of the museum was born. Almost all the restoration was done by volunteer laborers with monies raised through fundraisers. And there'll be another fundraiser, and this is my cheap plug here, there'll be another fundraiser for the Fire Museum as well as the Rocky Hill Historical Society on April 26th. Last year, I believe that close to 400 people, including students, toured the building as part of their curriculum. And incidentally, the museum that's located in the building was dedicated to Chief Kohanek on Memorial Day in 2010. I want to talk about pride here for a minute. The members of the fire department are really an extremely proud and dedicated group. To belong is more than a volunteer commitment. It's a lifestyle change. And I believe the guys are doing it because not out of necessity, but out of pride and an overwhelming sense of community commitment. And pride is a great motivator. And as a department, we really value our history. We proudly value our history and the traditions of the department. We value and support each other. Last summer, one of our lieutenants lost his wife to cancer, and the entire department rallied around him, supported him during the tough period before and after, as well as fundraisers, and we're still there for the guy. We've got a great foundation created by our past leadership. We honor our past members at every opportunity. You don't get to leave us when you retire. And once you're in, you're in. I learned back in November that my words can really not do this topic justice. But if you look at some of our extracurricular activities, the museum itself, the 9/11 Memorial, which the guys built on their own time. We went down and picked up the steel in New York on our own time. And the department itself, and I think you're going to understand. Next slide. What's the future hold for us? I can tell you what we're going to be doing, and we're going to maximize our best asset, which is our personnel, and we're going to continue to challenge ourselves by grabbing that expectations bar and raising it as high as we can. And that's just because, and as I said earlier, good enough's not good enough. And we are our own harshest critics. And we will continue to provide the highest level of customer service, and operate in a safe, efficient, and effective manner. Now, our best asset is our biggest challenge, and we need to continue to step up our recruitment and retention efforts. And how can you guys help? Well, we'd like you to support our capital improvement efforts, our recruitment and retention initiative, and very shortly, we're going to be presenting an apparatus replacement plan that's going to take us into the next 20-plus years. Thank you, and I'm sure you got some questions.
Very good. Thank you, Chief Geraghty. Any questions from the council? Nadine?
I have a comment and a question. First of all, I just want to thank you for the excellent presentation, and thank you and all those people that I can't see under
The other
there.
side of the screen.
On the other side of the screen, for your dedication, and to really thank both the current and past members of the fire department who have given up so much to serve our town in a very professional manner. My question is this: on personnel slide on page 7, you talk about a service level, a requirement to answer 23% of the calls. This is my question. If a lot of the calls occur during the day, I understand that we have some town staff that are able to leave their job to go out on that call. But should it be skewed so most of the calls are during the day, do you ever run into a problem where you don't have enough firefighters to answer a call? And I guess the second part would be, do you ever waive that 23% if in fact most of the calls are during the day when other firefighters may be at their place of employment?
That is an age-old question right there. We do find that on the average, and we average out the 23% over a 12-month period. We find that it's about a 50-50 mix, no matter what. The daytime calls, when we think about people working, it's a 40-hour block out of a 168-hour week. We don't skew it at this point. The operating rules which we work under do not allow us to skew it.
Okay.
We find our people make the calls. The town employees, we have 3 of them who work for the highway department, who assist us during the day, a huge help. But we also know that we have a good idea of what we're going to get during the day for people. And we know based on the incident whether we have to call out mutual aid or not. And again, the key word there is mutual, because what we get, we give back. So that was the short version of that question.
Okay.
I hope I answered it.
You did. A follow-up, I guess, would be, you get a fire call. Someone calls in, it's a 911, it's an active fire. How do you know in a really quick amount of time who's going to respond to the call and who can't for any given reason?
Well, we know we've got the 3 town guys. We also know we have 2 fire department employees. Plus, history shows who's around during the day. We have a good idea of who's there. For an active fire, and we get a good idea if it's an active fire or not by the amount of 911 calls coming in. So, with all that weighed, again, we know who we got coming, and we've probably done 1 or 2 other calls that day also. And we can make the judgment as to bring in the outside help as needed. And we can always start the help and turn them around if it turns out to be nothing. So the quicker we get people on the road, the better off it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for Kathy?
Chief, thank you again for the presentation and for all the firefighters, for all that they do. Question on your capital improvements plan. You don't have anything here. I'm just wondering, were you coming to our capital improvements night with a list? Because I know, to buy a fire truck or a piece of apparatus is not something that's going to happen in 1 year. We should start putting away for stuff. But I was just wondering if we're going to get a list, like of the age of your vehicles and when you think you need to replace and all that.
Absolutely. And myself and Deputy Chief Renstrom presented an apparatus replacement program to the town manager last week.
Okay, so they'll be
And-
part of that
That
capital
will be
improvements
part
work?
of that, and they are going to actually give me lists of what they have and put it into a 5-year timeline. It's a report that they prepared, and we've gone over the draft report, and long before we have that meeting, you'll have your materials.
Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we have that under control, because I would hate for you to,
I-
you know,
I believe we do have it under control. It is in its infancy stages right now. We're looking at streamlining, reducing in a couple areas, multi-purposing apparatus, and really just working better, I guess is the best way I want to put it. And again, this is a plan that's going to take us out past 20 years, long
Now-
after I've served my time.
when you come that evening to present, if you can bring us the current inventory? I mean, I know you have it listed here by vehicle, but as far as age and of those vehicles and that type of thing?
Absolutely, that's all in that replacement plan.
Okay, great, thank you.
Counselor Drapeau?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of quick ones. How often do you test your apparatus?
There's multiple tests that they go through, and I'm not sure what you're.
I asked this
I
because
can
my
s-
office in Hartford is right across from one of the stations, and every single morning at 8 o'clock, that ladder truck is shooting the ladder in the air. And I stopped in there one day and I said, hey.
Climb the ladder? Go for a
No,
ride?
they didn't let me climb the ladder.
Oh.
But they did say it's some kind of mandate that they have to test that equipment every single day.
It's actually, that's their internal mandate, but it's a weekly mandate, which is what we do. Every Tuesday night, we run each piece of apparatus through its paces. Hose is tested yearly, ladders are tested yearly, pumps are tested yearly. So between pump tests, ladder tests, hose tests, we have 52 functional checks of the apparatus. So that's a weekly thing. Aside from the training that they get every Tuesday night that the guys get, they're required to go through every cabinet, every function of that engine or truck or rescue truck, right down to 21-point air pack checks, functional checks on the hydraulic tools. Ladders go up, the ladders come down, the pumps get run. So it's all done weekly for us.
Okay. Second question has to do with the Task Force 51, and the only thing that came to my mind was how often like over the last 12 months were we called versus us calling?
I don't have that data with me. I know we have one task force call this year to Cromwell. If we get 4 a year nowadays, I think that's a lot.
Where we get called out?
Yeah, when we go out, and I believe we've had them in town once in the past year. That's helped me out. You know, and the last
Is it
time we
about
called.
even?
It's even, yeah, and again, this is a mutual aid thing. We go to them, they come to us.
My only concern was the strain on our fire department. Is it heavier for us versus us relying on them?
We're
I think you answered the
responding out
question.
to 4 other towns. So, and we have 4 other towns responding in, so there is a little skew there. But it's really, the task force hasn't been getting the activity that it has in its inception. It's still there, it's still available. Like I said, we went to Cromwell several Saturdays ago for an apartment building fire. But it doesn't really stress the town. It's designed to not strip the resources by sending only a driver, 5 firefighters, and 1 chief officer, so that we have the rest of the crew in town. So we find it works out very well for us.
One final question, and it had to
Yep.
do with your statement a little while ago about 1 captain or chief to 5
Our span of control,
firefighters.
yes.
And to expand on Nadine's point a little while ago, during the day, do you find that you're having difficulty matching that mandate?
The mandate is, all right, let me back this up again. We don't have, obviously, the staffing we have at night during the day, but we do find that we handle the calls during the day. You may have 3, 4 firefighters on a piece of apparatus. instead of the total of 6. We're still able to get the job done. And again, if we find that we need it, if we determine we need it, we do start help our way. And if we use them, we use them. If not, we just turn them and send them home. So, daytime, once again, we are a bedroom community, but we do handle our daytime calls rather well, I believe. And again, we have the options for help.
Anyone else? Thank you. Counselor Zeps. Oh, and then Tim.
The ISO organization,
Yes, sir.
the ISO, the Task Force 51,
Yes.
are the participants at the same level, above or below us, do you know?
About half and half. Half of them are at 3s and a couple are at 4s.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Moriarty.
Mike, excuse me, over the last couple of years, Mike, let's say go back 5, I know OSHA's controlled a lot of this lately. How you've had to do things and stuff. What do you see going forward, or what do you hear what's coming down as far as mandatory training or putting more of a load on the volunteers?
I don't see anything coming out of OSHA. Again, that general duty clause is inclusive. It
Right.
says
Cover
that,
all.
yeah, if you're going to do it, you better know how to do it, and you better train on doing it. OSHA is becoming more practiced or performance-based. If you have 2 guys go into a structure, you have to have 2 guys out for rescue. And they want to see programs like that. They want to see your procedures in place. They want to see your guidelines in place. Where I did notice an increase in training is with ISO. Now, when we had our last ISO survey, the ISO inspector comes in and he says, you know what, I come into departments like this, and your training programs, out of a scale of 9, I don't give them more than 2. We got just shy of 5 on that point scale. They're looking for 24 hours a month on structural firefighting. I don't know a fire department out there, career or volunteer, that can train 24 hours a month just on that one topic, aside from all the other topics you need. So that's where some of that's going. Our training program is still, in my eyes, one of the best out there. I think you can see that in some of the members we have. Some of the members we've lost to other departments, career departments. And I say that just because I found out today one of our guys, one of our past guys, was just on Randall Island in New York City, sitting down there as a new member. So pretty proud of him for that.
Okay. And one thing you didn't touch on was the cadets. I know OSHA did put a lot of stop to your cadets because they won't let them train like you used to be able to do with them. So that's probably going to hurt you with that program. With the fire police, did they get the same benefits as the firefighters as far as a paper call, pension, and tax break?
Yes, they do.
And
They
a
get
lot of
this-
them are ex-firemen who are kind of moving on.
Yeah, it's
Or
about a
ambulance.
50-50 mix. Some
Yeah.
X's, some, we've got a couple retired guys who looking to volunteer and a little bit of community service, so they've joined up. And, but they do receive the same benefits.
Now, and I don't know if somebody at the council can help me with this, but I think that ISO number does save our taxpayers money on their homeowners insurance, correct? I've been told that.
It's
Yes,
the,
it does.
actually, I think Chief Garrett knows the answer to that. It's how they dictate what your insurance premiums are.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And I heard we were talking economic development earlier. I understand that any business coming into town, first thing they're going to ask for is what's your ISO number in town?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of their costs are based on that number. A lot of the homeowners insurance is based on that number. And we're a 3.
Good job.
Thank you.
Counselor McDonald.
I mean, just to follow up on that, so then I take it all the 2s would be like the career departments then?
Yeah, I don't have the list, and that's the slide I was able to
Okay.
get off their website, so they didn't list who was what.
Right.
I know the ones are, I believe, Milford and Hartford.
Oh, okay.
So I would think the 2s are the Danburys, Waterburys, Norwich, and the full-time staff. And I believe a lot of that has to do with seating, arrival times, spacing, et cetera.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think it's great that we're 3, and that was one of the questions I had, because it has a direct impact on your premium. I mean, my other thing would just be a comment. As I travel around the state and talk to a lot of people, both within insurance and out of insurance, and we start talking about Rocky Hill, one of the first things that comes up is the fire department. And what I'm commonly hearing is a common theme is how well-trained you are and the equipment the town has provided. So I think that's a compliment to you, to Rich, and the rest of the team. So, you know, again, congratulations on a great presentation. And I can tell you, you have my support on this apparatus replacement plan as part of a capital improvement plan, because, you know, that's critical. As you talked before about a fire truck, $6,000 back in 1940 or whatever, those days are so far gone that we really have to plan out 10 years from now or 15 years from now.
Yeah.
So I really look forward to seeing that plan.
Thank you.
Any, Council Moreira?
You almost had to spend that much to buy it back from the trolley museum, right?
I think it was more than that.
They gave it to him and they had to buy it back.
And I had to go get it. Anyone else
We
wishing to
paid
speak?
twice for that.
Nobody else? Thank you, Chief Carey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Imagine that, they gave it to him, they had to buy it back.
You may be right on
Makes sense, right?
that. You may be right.
Creed?
Yeah, I
He's
know,
all
I create a
right.
lot of things.
Take it easy.
Bye.